Pastor Matthews, thank you very much for giving us this interview. I'd like to talk to you about the plight of young men in the communities and in the city, particularly young black men in the city. And I'd like you to tell us, how you felt when you were burying these young kids that really hadn't started their lives yet, and how you were able to comfort their families.
Thanks, Cliff, and I appreciate being here, and I'm excited about your work and your heart and your compassion for the youth of our community. And it's disheartening each time you get a phone call, each time you hear in the media or whatever the source is that another young person has died tragically and unnecessarily. And that's the first thing we need to know, is that it is tragic and it is unnecessary. It is something that can be prevented, I believe with all my heart. I don't have all of the answers, but I know each time I've had to sit with a family and stand before a congregation of people when there's been such an act of violence, that it's different in that moment than any other moment. I've never met a family that did not want their child to still be alive.
Right.
I've never met a group of young men who are standing with a T-shirt. They have their sayings, they have their things that they think, but I've never met one who didn't wish and hope that things could have been different for their fallen comrade. So at no time since I've been doing this, and I've been doing this unfortunately now for more than 25 years, more recently in the last year, at least 6 of those particular funerals have been here. And often when we're called by a family, it's because the church is a place for people to come when they're hurting. And we've opened up our doors over the years, whether they were a member or a non-member, whether they had family here or don't have family here, because I believe that still the church has a powerful opportunity to intervene in these young people's lives. The better opportunity would be provide interventions prior to the death of one of their own. And I think that those now are the kinds of discussions that we're about to begin to have, though we've had them historically, but it's time to revisit them again. I remember as a young man growing up during the riots, and Dr. Martin Luther King came here, organized a group of preachers, Sterling Glover, Dr. Hoover, my pastor, Dr. Hill, and others, and they spoke to the young people in the community to say, hey, not violence, and not the kind of violence that was going on then. I was one of the recipients of that message. And so it's a new type of dynamic. It's a different kind of mindset, but we need to figure out ways to provide interventions. And so prayerfully through people such as yourself and many, many others that I know who are putting their resources, their talents, their gifts, and their skills on the line every day to try to say to our young people and to people in general that violence is not the way.
Okay. Now, we talk about, the violence in the communities. How important is that black man, that black father, as far as the responsibility of his son and his children in the community?
Well, the other portion to this is that I've met many of the fathers of these slain young men. Whether they were active in their life or not, there's not a man that I've met that doesn't have some regret with regards to his interaction with his son. Now, that even applies to the person who is actively involved in their child's life. Recently, unfortunately, Bishop Stephen Halton's son was shot and killed. All right. Here's a church kid, father, worker. I mean, just everything right. He shot and killed, and his dad was right there for him. Right there for him. Mom right there for him. Church community. Worker at Cleveland Clinic. Unfortunately, bullets and violence sometimes have names, sometimes they don't. Sometimes have circumstances and situations. I think the role of the family is certainly challenged today. I think the role of the father, as significant as it is, unfortunately is equally as challenged today. We know the value of a man in the house. We know the value of a father to his children. Those things we know. The questions become, how do we provide supportive care where that lacks? How do we provide the necessary efficacies for children and families where those things lack. And as a church community, it is our task to wrestle with those questions. It is our responsibility to reach those. Jude is very clear about our responsibility to widows and orphans. And unfortunately, abandoned children are no different in my mind than orphans. And so we have a serious obligation, but a meaningful opportunity. Fortunately for me, I've been able to always see things in a way that says there is some hope.
Right.
There is opportunity. How do we get at it?
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Pastor, for your time. And that was really a beautiful insight that you gave,
Right.
as far as, what we need to concentrate on. So,
Well, if the church unto itself would just hear the call of God on our life,
right.
and that is to go out into the community, compel through compassion and care, love the people who
Right.
obviously don't have that in their life, or have it in a way that it is not producing the kind of fruit that love should produce. It's real easy to point the finger,
It is.
but it's another level of challenge to go make a difference. And prayerfully, we choose to be difference makers.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking forward to. And I hope and I pray that your work through art and through poetry and through readings and through plays and the things that you're working on will take your message
Yes.
to where it is needed, as well as engage other people such as myself. And I look forward to the fruit of your labor.
Thank you very much, sir.